The derelict station hung in the void like a broken promise, its hull scarred by centuries of cosmic radiation and micrometeorite impacts. Ella pressed her gloved hand against the airlock, feeling the cold seep through even the insulated fabric of her suit. "This is insane," Johnson muttered over the comlink, his breathing heavy as he maneuvered the survey pod closer. "That thing's been dead for at least 3,000 years. Probably longer." Elle didn't respond. Her eyes were fixed on the symbol etched into the station's outer hull, a circle bisected by a horizontal line, with a small cross emerging from the bottom right quadrant. She'd seen it before in the archives back on New Terra. It was old, ancient even by galactic standards. "The precursors built this," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "Johnson, do you understand what that means?" "It means we're probably about to die doing something monumentally stupid," he replied. But she could hear the excitement creeping into his voice despite his words. The precursors were legend, a civilization so advanced they'd supposedly seeded life across a dozen sectors before vanishing without a trace. Finding one of their installations intact was the discovery of a lifetime. The airlock cycled with surprising efficiency, considering its age. Emergency power, Elle theorized, or something more exotic. The precursors hadn't relied on conventional technology. Their works defied the known laws of physics, operating on principles that modern science could barely comprehend. Inside, the station was pristine. No dust, no degradation, no signs of entropy. The walls gleamed with that characteristic precursor luminescence. Not quite light, not quite solid matter, but something in between. Ella's scanner went haywire, unable to categorize what it was detecting. "Breathable atmosphere," Johnson announced, checking his readings. 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, trace elements of argon and carbon dioxide. He paused. "Ella, that's Earth standard atmosphere." She frowned. Earth was a myth, a story the colony worlds told about their supposed origin. Humanity had been traveling the stars for so long that no one could agree on where they'd come from originally. Some said Terra Prime, others insisted it was New Genesis. The records had been lost in the Shattering Wars, scattered across 1,000 worlds with 1,000 different versions of history. They moved deeper into the station, their footsteps echoing in the impossible silence. Elle's heart hammered in her chest. Every corridor was marked with more symbols. Some she recognized from xenoarchaeological databases, others completely alien. But all of them pointed in one direction, toward the station's core. The central chamber took her breath away. It was vast, cathedral-like, with walls that seemed to stretch into infinity, and at its center stood a pedestal upon which rested a single device. It was deceptively simple, a smooth obsidian sphere with a crystalline interface that pulsed with soft blue light. "A biolock," Johnson breathed. "I've read about these. Precursor security systems. They scan genetic markers, match them against some kind of database." He looked at Ella. "We're not getting past that. Our DNA wouldn't match anything in their records." But Elle wasn't listening. She was staring at an inscription carved into the pedestal itself. The symbols were different from the others, simpler, more primitive. And suddenly she understood. "It's not precursor script," she said slowly. "It's proto-linguistic, the theoretical ancestor language that supposedly gave rise to all human tongues." She traced the symbols with her finger. "This says, 'For those who remember home.'" Johnson stepped closer, his scanner extended. "Elle, I'm detecting massive energy signatures beyond this lock. Whatever's behind there, it's still active, still powered. After all this time." Elle approached the biolock, her hand trembling. The interface shifted, displaying what looked like an input field. Alphanumeric, she realized with shock. "Human alphanumeric. It's waiting for a password," she murmured. "Great," Johnson said. "A 3,000-year-old password that we have no hope of." "EARTH," Elle interrupted. Her fingers moved across the interface, typing each letter with growing confidence. "Earth," the old word. The original word. "You can't be serious," Johnson protested. "That's just a myth, a story. There's no way." The biolock pulsed once, twice, then impossibly it began to glow. The obsidian sphere split apart like a flower blooming, its segments folding back to reveal a corridor beyond. And as it opened, Elle felt something scan her. Not just her body, but something deeper. Her cells, her genes, the very code that made her human. The corridor was lined with holographic displays, each one flickering to life as they passed. Images of a blue world covered in white clouds and vast oceans. Continents Elle recognized from ancient, half-forgotten maps. Cities built not in the sky or beneath domes, but directly on the planet's surface under an open atmosphere. Earth, Johnson whispered, all skepticism gone from his voice. It was real. It was all real. At the end of the corridor was a vault. Inside, carefully preserved, were seeds. Millions of them, cataloged and stored in perfect stasis. Plants that no longer existed in the known galaxy. Genetic templates for animals that had been extinct for millennia. And data cores, thousands upon thousands of them containing the complete history of humanity's birth world. But it was the final display that made Elle's knees weak. A star chart. Ancient beyond measure, but unmistakable in its precision. It showed a small yellow star in a spiral arm of the galaxy, with a single planet marked in bright blue. Coordinates. The actual coordinates to Earth. They left this here, Elle said, tears streaming down her face. The precursors. They weren't aliens at all. They were us. Ancient humans who reached the stars long before the shattering. They left this here so that someday, when we'd forgotten everything, when we'd scattered so far across the galaxy that we no longer remembered where we came from, we could find our way home. Johnson was silent, staring at the coordinates. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. The biolock. It didn't refuse every code. It was waiting for the right one. It was waiting for someone who still remembered the name of home. Elle nodded, placing her hand on the data core interface. Let's bring them back, she said. Let's bring everyone back to Earth. The station hummed to life around them, its ancient systems awakening after centuries of patient waiting. The biolock had tested them, and in typing those 5 simple letters, EARTH, Elle had proven that humanity hadn't forgotten. Not completely, not forever. Somewhere in the distant stars a small blue world waited, and now finally its children were coming home.